I don't blame anybody. You know why? Because that's what 20 to 30 years of formal education will do to you. There's one answer. There's only one way of doing things. Get an A, or the D student is the bad student, or whatever. Right. They taught us, school systems taught us that there's one answer to everything. That's not real life at all. So people who want to do entrepreneurial endeavors or go into corporate or whatever, and they're relying on their programming. They're relying on what they've learned their entire life, which is, I got to get it right.
Yeah.
There's no getting it right. There's just doing and course correcting along the way.
Right.
But that's what everybody has learned. And I unlearned that.
Hi, I'm Lisa Chastain, and welcome to the Real Money Podcast. Some of the most successful women in the world hate talking about money, and that's exactly why we're here. My mission is to remove fear around finances by creating a simple, effective way to manage your money and build the financial freedom you deserve. As a keynote speaker, best-selling author, and passionate coach, I will be sharing my insights on overcoming money challenges, coaching women live on air, and interviewing some of the most accomplished women to learn from their experiences. So, say goodbye to fear, say goodbye to budgeting woes, and welcome to Real Money.
What if the biggest risk isn't failure, but letting life happen to you? Hey everyone, I'm Lisa and I'm your host of Real Money, and I'm so pumped to be in this conversation with you here today because I've got a special guest in the studio today, Maurice Philogene. Did I say that right?
You did.
Maurice Philogene. Yeah. And he's a pretty special human. I know you're going to learn a lot from him. I always learn from him when I'm with him. And life brought us together, and I want you to hear what he has to say. So let's get started. First, let me introduce you to Maurice. He is a global entrepreneur, investor, former federal agent, retired military officer, a world traveler. He has built true cash flow, and we're going to talk about that today, what true cash flow means, and wealth through real estate, entrepreneurship, smart investing. And I know those are things that you want to know about. And so we're going to pull apart Maurice's story and learn from him how he's done what he's done, because there are so many of you that listen to this podcast who want things in your life that you don't believe are possible. And I'm here to tell you today that they are, and Maurice is going to tell you how they're possible.
I'll try.
You will. You will. It can be paralyzing, stepping out of fear, stepping into the life that you want. Not only that, but what happens when you stop letting fear drive the bus and you get on your way to trying life on? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today with Maurice. So officially, Maurice, welcome.
Officially, thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be here. Yeah.
So we were talking about this before the show. You decided to jump on a plane to come to Vegas to do the show.
Yeah.
And I've never had a guest do that for me before. And we met because I was on your podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know a whole lot about you. We had a mutual common associate that brought us together. And it was through that conversation that so much opened up for you and so much opened up for me. And the authenticity of relationship is what I glean the most from you. That there really isn't anything more important in life than relationships.
No. There's nothing. You know, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
And it was a good decision on my part to come. I had a feeling. I was watching Sylvester Stallone's documentary a year and a half ago, and I happened to see the preview for it like recently. I don't watch much TV nowadays, but somehow it came across my screen or whatever. And Sly was in his living room, and he was picking up like memorabilia from his movies and whatnot.
I remember watching that.
And he said, you see this thing or like this Emmy or this Oscar or this script or whatever? He's like, junk. It's all junk. Because along the way, he lost a lot of relationships that meant something to him, like his family and stuff like that. And on your journey of life, at least my life, I talk about myself. I'm not going to put it on everybody else. But on the journey of life, you just start to realize it's cool, but it's nothing without people. So I have just learned over time that when you resonate with somebody or someone affects you in a positive way, you invest in that relationship. And I tell people all the time that hey, you're flying to this country for the 50th time or this city in the U.S. for the 13th time. Why? because I'm investing in what? A business, a property? No, people. When you find someone that truly resonates with you or helped you, you invest in them. And so it was a very easy decision for me to fly to come meet you in person, because we did have that connection when we talked and you came on the podcast, and then you coached me for a bit and you really helped me with that particular conversation I'll never forget. So when you invited me on your podcast, I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm flying to Vegas.
Guess you're flying to Vegas.
I guess I'm flying to Vegas.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about the relationship part of that later on in the show, but I really want to help my audience get to know you.
Sure.
I will say I didn't grow up around money.
Yep.
And getting into the money industry was very difficult for me. I had to stretch beyond my own boundaries. I had to challenge my money mindset. I grew up in conversations with my parents, my mom specifically, saying not nice things about people who have money. And stretching in my podcast and bringing guests on who stretched me outside of my comfort zone. When I heard and read through your accolades, my money mindset kicked in. Like, who am I? Who am I? Look at Maurice. Look how successful he is. But the truth is, people are just people.
Yeah.
People are just people. But to hear that all these things that you've done, and then to go into this part of the conversation, you've taken wild risks. You've lost big. You've won big. Most people play it safe, which I believe is true, especially when it comes to money. And women even more so play it safe when it comes to money. And you haven't. What has made you bet on yourself when the safer route was to stay small and play safe? Because
there was no plan B for me ever. I don't even know.
What does that mean?
I'm saying it in reflection, but so my journey is, I'm an immigrant kid. My parents are from Haiti, so I'm an immigrant Haitian kid.
Were you born in Haiti?
No, I was born in New York, but I grew up speaking French and Creole in the house. I learned English somewhere like 7, 8. My accent dropped off somewhere like 7, 8. Now nobody knows who the hell I am, even though I speak.
You get a little East Coast.
Little bit.
I do, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. But my family's money blueprint was save, you know, get a pension, that kind of thing and stuff like that. There were 2 catalysts in my life very early that I'm super grateful to the universe for, to source for. One is my father had the wherewithal to send me to France when I was 15. Very smart of him, because it was for 30 days driving around an old Range Rover with this family. Their son had stayed with me the previous summer.
Gotcha.
It changed me. To this day, I still think about that trip, because all I knew was inner city Boston. All I knew was wanting to get to the NFL. All I knew was buying sneakers, getting in fights. I was always a good kid, but I was starting to do bad things. My father sends me to France, French wine, French food, French funerals, French weddings, French girls, French weed, French everything. And then I was like, man, I had all these emotions on that trip. And I'm like, what is this? And it felt like something. So that was the first catalyst. The second catalyst was I found Personal Finance for Dummies when I was 21. And it had a phrase in this talking about passive income, which to me was ability to make money without physically having to be somewhere.
Yeah, it's such a buzzword, such a concept.
It feels unattainable to most, but when I picked up on it at 21, it was in a book, so it must be real. So fast forward, I was like, if I can generate passive income at some point, then I can create time. If I can create time, then I can go back to 15 when I was having all those emotions, visiting the world. I want more of that. So since then, there was no plan B for me. I dove into real estate. I dove into traveling the world. I dove into, we think life is about things, but in fact, life is actually truly about emotions. I just wanted those emotions again. I thought I would get it from being a federal agent, so I chased that. I thought I'd get it from being a police officer too, so I chased that. I thought I'd get it from the NFL, so I tried out for the NFL twice. I thought I'd get it from traveling to 100 countries, so I went to 100 countries. I was just after the emotions of life, but I refused to wait to get money to do it. So I found ways to live while going after passive income to do it even more, which is what I do now, right? I control my time and my schedule and everything. Yeah.
Years later, though. Years later. How young are you? You like how I asked that question? How young are you?
Oh, I'm 49.
49?
I'm 49. Yeah, I'm going to be 50 this year.
So at 21 is when you found the book.
Yeah. change me.
But you were still chasing things at 21? Or did it change the way you were chasing things?
21-year-old me figured something out. Like I actually, the person I actually thank for where I am today is 23-year-old me. I don't know what the brother was thinking because the fellas was going to the club. Everybody was following the typical corporate path. I was in corporate as well at the time. And I just kept saying, no, you're going to find a way to live life your way. You're not going to follow what everybody else is doing. That's how I did all those careers and why, and turned down promotions along the way and invested in real estate and went after restaurants. Like I was doing so much while being a street cop in the middle of the night. I was doing so much because I was against status quo from the beginning. I had zero interest in it whatsoever.
Ever.
Yeah. So you're trying life on.
I'm trying life on. Yeah, I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, doing all kinds of things.
Yeah.
To find yourself or to find the feeling?
I didn't know what it was when I did it. But if I'm in reflection, I think it was to feel something. I think it was to feel something. I wanted, like Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, contribution and variety and love and connection. I wanted to feel stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
I do.
In reflection, I think I was trying to wake up every day and embrace what God has given us, which is this planet, this life, 28,000 days in the average 80-year lifetime. I got 10,100 and change left. Like I don't waste my time whatsoever.
No, it's and it's evident. So I was, we're LinkedIn friends. I follow you on LinkedIn, and this was just a couple of days ago. You wrote all the wins and fails that you've had.
Oh, yeah.
So I have them here.
Yeah.
Win, library business, lifestyle books, started in 1998. I'm not going to read through all of these, but fail, trying to open a coffee shop or coffee shops.
Yep.
Win, take a chance and become a federal agent.
Yep.
And it goes on and on and on. Win, travel hack, 100 countries, 300 times.
400 nowadays.
400 times.
Yeah.
Win, rookie police officer at 33. Win, financial freedom via real estate 2014. And today it's an $80 million portfolio. 80 million plus?
280 million.
280 million. Yeah. Okay, you added a 2 there between now and the last time I talked to you. Win, Mediterranean real estate for lifestyle, which we're definitely going to talk about. Win, retired military police officer, corporate, 25 years. I want to start with the failures.
Best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And I don't know one successful, by their own definition, person who hasn't had failure.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
No.
You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that on social media, though.
Oh, because everybody's posting their highlight reels, which is exactly why I do posts like that.
I know, I love it.
Because I'm not a big fan of social media. I'm not. Because what social media is what you haven't done and where you haven't been. So all it does is cause people anxiety, which is why I left Instagram. But on LinkedIn, I feel a responsibility to give back to people because on that crazy journey that you're expressing, I never told anybody. I just did it because I didn't want the crabs in the barrel effect. I didn't want people telling me, don't do that. You shouldn't be a rookie police officer at 33. You can't be a police officer and a senior executive corporate-wise at the same time. I never wanted anybody telling me all that stuff. But the failures, we think we should, especially in our 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s, maybe 50s, we think we're supposed to get it all perfect.
Yeah.
But if we get it all perfect from day one, then you have no life contrast. You have no way of knowing what you want because you never had what you don't want.
Right.
I needed to fail the coffee shops and lose 50 grand to know what not to do when I went after the restaurants and the clubs that I own some clubs too. I failed some of them.
$300,000. How do you lose $300,000? That's the failure that
was the big one.
I mean, I have a woman who will be on my podcast soon where she and her daughter both put $1 million into a Ponzi scheme and lost it all.
Oof. Yeah.
And these are big numbers. $300,000 is someone's entire life savings. Walk me through that experience. Walk me through that loss.
That one was a little bit different. So when I started investing in real estate, or I figured out real estate at 21. I started buying condos in the DC area, very small. I got lucky and smart at the same time because I was buying condos that were between $80,000 and like $130,000. Okay. I ended up buying. This is back in the 2000s where there were no doc loans. You barely had to show a W-2 to get a loan.
Before 2008.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started buying these little things, and I had a realtor who was in her 70s. I talk about her on social media. I've never figured out her name. I should. She's probably passed by now. But she told me, when you buy all these little things, keep buying them. Because if you just pay them off, it's a pension at some point.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, she's right. So I bought all these $100,000, $150,000 things, and over the years I paid them off, and I got up to 35. And people were like, how did you pay them all off? Because I got to 35 of them. A bunch of them appreciated. I sold the ones that appreciated.
And started rolling the cash.
I started paying off all the other ones instead of buying cars and clothes and all that stuff. But the $300,000 loss, that was actually on a penthouse condo in D.C. because my ego kicked in. I lost my mission of let me buy. Remember the 15-year-old kid?
Yeah.
He's the vision. He's the one who was directing the ship, and 23-year-old me was like, listen to the 15-year-old dude who was having those great experiences. And
wasn't paying for them at 15.
No, not at all. And in the mid 2000s, you could buy a new construction condo in DC off plan. It wasn't even built yet. Put a down payment 2 years. So let's say the contract was for $200,000. By the time it was built, it was worth $400,000. Like I was printing money. Like I figured this out.
Were you financing those sales?
It was all financed.
Okay.
And that was the benefit of having a good W-2.
Yep.
In fact, I had 3 of them between military, police, and Accenture, the company that I work for. But 2008 showed up. And I went after a $800,000 condo in the city, penthouse, not because it would have helped my financial freedom journey, but because it was a penthouse in the middle of the city.
Because it looked good.
It looked good. It felt good. And I'd be able to walk around and be like, oh, shit, I'm a baller. I own this thing. Yeah, but I closed like late 2007 and stretched.
To close it.
And then the boom hit. I mean, the bust hit.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Oh, I lost everything. Because at the time, in 2008, I probably had like 26, 27 condos. And half the tenants stopped paying. Now, I was doing the right thing. I had $100,000 in the bank. I knew to have liquidity. But I didn't know what real estate cycles were. I had to go back to the library and read about real estate cycles. And I'm like, damn, I'm about to lose my shirt. And so the person who was in that condo stopped paying. I could not re-rent it. It was like $2,500 a month. It was a lot of money, maybe more. I couldn't re-rent it. Plus I had all these other obligations. And I just had to give it up. Now consider, so that was, when I say 300, I think I put 150 down, plus I lost the down payments, plus I was throwing money at the mortgage. I was doing everything I could do to save.
You didn't just lose. So you lost $300,000 of your own money.
Yeah.
But your portfolio size was a lot bigger than that. So if you look at the actual value that you lost, what was that? I'm doing the math in my head.
I'm going to guess at the time I probably owned like maybe 3 million, three and a half million. And the value probably went down to like 1 million or something. And I should have filed bankruptcy and I refused. I called every single bank like 5 times a day to try to get them to talk to me, to listen to me. Because I had done so much having 3 careers, but on the weekends hustling like painting and toilets and termites. And I just refused to lose what I had worked for. I think I had 1 or 2 foreclosures, a few short sales. But in general, I came out in 2013 surviving, but it was 5 years of horror.
You had a W-2 still?
I had 3.
You had 3 W-2s. So you're working 3 W-2s and managing a $3 million real estate portfolio.
Yeah.
That's literally going down the toilet.
Yeah.
And you're grasping straws at it.
And my oldest was 6 years old as an autistic kid, and I was just recently a single dad, like single parent. It was brutal. I call that period of my life entrepreneurial depression.
Yeah.
It was brutal. And we didn't have LinkedIn. We didn't have social media. It was a time where you couldn't really find things. So my way of solving stuff was just to go to the library. So every time I ran into a problem, I would go to the library and find a book that would explain it to me.
Not even Google.
No. Like Google was starting to come around, but because I learned real estate in the library, I just kept going back to the library. But it was very lonely to solve that.
I was just going to say, that sounds very isolating and very lonely.
I freely talk about it nowadays. And when I tell people about how I coined the phrase entrepreneurial depression, then they say, well, what would you recommend for other people? Find your tribe way earlier. I didn't have a tribe when I did all that. Think about that. I don't know, 30 pieces of real estate, as far as 300 miles apart, street cop in the middle of the night, executive during the day.
Dad.
Still a military officer, plus a dad. Plus I'm not totally getting along with his mom at the time. We're the best of friends today. Not getting along with his mom. Plus I just found out he was autistic when autism wasn't really well understood.
Yeah.
Plus my Haitian parents were like, well, we support you, but we told you not to do.
We told you so.
Yeah.
We told you so.
Yeah. And then I couldn't really talk to my boys about it because nobody was doing what I was doing. So it was just brutal.
Why did you put yourself through all of that?
I had no plan B.
What does that mean, though? I know for me personally what that means in my own company, in my own business, where I've had now, I'm 10 years into this. Every year seems to be a new iteration, a new stretch, a new challenge. But for me, giving up is not an option. What does no plan B mean for you, though? Because you had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
You had a real estate portfolio. What does that mean?
I did not have the 3 jobs necessarily for money. I had the 3 jobs. Accenture, the corporate firm that I work for, who I'm very supportive of, okay? But I was not a corporate guy. I loved what I did, but I did it for the money, for the most part, because I wanted to buy a real estate portfolio and all that. I did police because I missed the football huddle, because I didn't make it to the NFL. I just wanted to be with men and women. I wanted the huddle feeling. And then the military, I got to live my dream of being Jason Bourne and be a federal agent out in the world. Like, it's not all about money. Like, we're talking real money.
Yeah.
Money's a tool. Money supports life. Okay, so when you say, what does it mean? What was
it for?
This. I manifested my life. I did it with the help of God, but I did it. I worked those weeks and months and years by myself. Nobody was there.
Nobody.
No one.
Literally.
Now, I put myself through that, but I did it. Where I live now between the coastal Maryland and the Mediterranean, like you know, where I control $250, $280 million of real estate, where cash flow comes in to pay for my life, where I retired a lieutenant colonel happy from the military. I retired as a senior police officer, having lived out my dream. I faithfully served the company for 25 years. I'm developing real estate in the Mediterranean now. I think I'm a fantastic father to my 2 boys, and I really don't care about anyone's opinion about it. I did it. There was no alternative for me, because I was not going to follow the status quo way of, this is the thing about corporate. I was an analyst to consultant, consultant to manager, manager to senior manager to partner. Between senior manager and partner, I just stopped. I was like, if I take this next promotion, I now, instead of working 60 hours a week, I get the benefit of working 90 hours a week for like 40 grand more. It made zero sense to me. So I just stopped taking promotions, focus even more on real estate to get more cash flow and income, to build more relationships out in the world. Travel hacked every weekend to visit different parts of the world. I would leave DC on a Thursday, come back on a Sunday, to DC to the Finnish Arctic for 4 days, just to chill and learn about the Finnish Swami people that I read about in the library. Come back, go to work, told nobody.
Yeah.
There's no plan B. I want to live. So I was just doing stuff my way.
That is why we're kindred spirits. Now I know exactly why.
Yeah.
You're here. Because I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
We should be.
I agree. And there are a lot of people that are not like us.
Yeah.
Who are just going to do it. And failure is the reason why. Because if you look at that journey, even in that 20-something you, building, failing, almost losing it all, that one thought for someone will derail them from ever taking a step in that direction, the thought of losing it. And I've had multiple people, especially when it comes to real estate, who have been on the show, who have lost everything. Josh, one of my friends, came on and he lost his family home. The home he grew up in that he bought from his father, was managing his father's estate, lost everything in 2008. And for you, what I'm hearing you say, which I think is the nugget from that, is that you didn't let failure stop you. And actually, it was almost like just a speed bump. But it still hurt. Did it sting? Was it scary? Was it waking up in the morning and going,
I don't know.
What's next?
I had no other. time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that about your friend, but I like him already because at least he did. And I bet you, so that's why lottery winners lose the lottery, right? Because fine, they won $100 million, but they've not built up the grit, the skill set to maintain it, to multiply it, nothing. If I would have lost everything in 2008, and I lost a portion, but if I would have lost everything, I had the skill set to rebuild.
Yep. And the determination.
Yeah. So you have to see value in it. But I don't blame anybody. You know why? Because that's what 20 to 30 years of formal education will do to you. There's one answer. There's only one way of doing things. Get an A, or the D student is the bad student, or whatever. They taught us, school systems taught us that there's one answer to everything. That's not real life at all. So people who want to do entrepreneurial endeavors or go into corporate or whatever, and they're relying on their programming. They're relying on what they've learned their entire life, which is, I got to get it right.
Yeah.
There's no getting it right. There's just doing and course correcting along the way.
Right.
But that's what everybody has learned. And I unlearned that very, very, very quick. I'm not sure if I ever even really learned it.
I don't think you learned it.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I articulate it today very well. But certainly on the journey, it didn't feel good. Like, why is everybody chasing partner? So when I got up to partner, I got asked to be partner at I got asked to enter the partner track 4 times. And I said no. And I'll never forget, people were like, and this part hurt. People was like, it's 20 plus years at the firm, right? People were like, what's wrong with him? Why is he not a partner yet? You know? But they didn't know I was building a real estate portfolio in the background. They didn't know I was a street cop in the middle of the night. I told nobody. They didn't know that I just came from Brazil for the day. Like I would fly down to Brazil for 24 hours and turn right back around through travel hacking. Nobody knew what I was doing. But what people see is, okay, the status quo way of doing things is you should be a partner. You should have that title. I'm like, F titles.
Yeah.
Titles mean nothing. They don't give you. Now, if it's someone's goal to be that, totally. Then that's your decision.
Right.
But I don't like when people follow the status quo way of doing things. You're pursuing life by default.
Yeah.
Nah, I never
Someone
really did
else's
that.
script.
1000%.
Someone else's
1000%.
script. That's when people end up in conversations with me, just to bring it back real time, where I did everything that I should have done. And this is me in my 20s.
Yes.
I did everything that I should have done.
Yeah.
And I was going to talk about that dynamic between men and women, because women right now are facing a new reality for ourselves. And it's not something as a mass as women have ever explored as a group of women across the planet today, which is basically realizing that we can do whatever the fuck we want to do.
Of course.
But that's not how women have been raised. And it takes women and it takes men to wake up and say, I don't want to live my life the way that everybody else is living their life.
You don't have to. Like we're just, like, as I said before, we're just kind of trained to follow that status quo way of doing things. When the reality is, my moniker, you can try life on at any time. The problem is people are so worried about the opinions of peers, coworkers, neighbors, and worse, family.
Parents.
You're not supposed to be this. You're not supposed to do that. So people are doing things to get validation from other people. Hey, I made partner. Let's go out and party.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You should be pursuing things that genuinely give you a certain vibe and buzz about life to the extent possible. But the problem is people are doing things so Lisa and Ruby will be like, wow, did you see what Maurice did? I don't care. Nobody knows. So nobody
knows. So that's an important distinction right there, is that there's a lot happening off of social media.
Yes.
Of people just doing human things and not sharing it. And that's one of the biggest compliments I get about my marriage, is that I'm not sharing my marriage out on social media. That's between me and him, what we do, how we do it. I'm using my platform as a way to teach and to stretch and grow, but you're not going to see everything that I'm doing on social media. And I've battled that, feeling like I had to prove myself. And I see this all over Instagram with women specifically who feel like in order to prove success, they have to show their net worth, or they have to show their house that they just bought. They have to show it all to prove something. And for you, the distinction is you weren't out there to prove anything to anyone but yourself. Or was it even proving anything to yourself?
No, I just wanted to live a certain. I live a very specific way that is in alignment with who I am.
Mm-hmm. Which is
Period. As I said, we have a certain amount of time on this beautiful planet. I think I steal this from Wayne Dyer, but we're all spiritual beings having a human existence.
Mm-hmm.
For the amount of time that you're here, you should leverage it to the extent possible. You should find. So in my coaching, I have these principles. I call them Tri-Life On principles. One of them is you should make you should strive to make your extraordinary ordinary. All right, so I'm kicking it here with you today. I was in Maryland this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I was in Maryland this morning. Now I'm in Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go right back to the airport. I'm gonna take the red eye back to the airport in the DC area. I was telling you I'm gonna go to the International Lounge. I'm not even gonna go home. I'm gonna go see all the people that I know because I'm through there all the time. Then I travel hack the ticket to Brussels. I'm gonna sit in business and go to Brussels. Then I'm gonna fly to Beirut. Then I'm gonna drive an hour north to the place where I always sit by the Mediterranean Sea, and I'm gonna kick it there for a few days.
Yeah.
That's my extraordinary now being so ordinary. You know me. It's so ordinary for me because I've done it so much. Like that's what I tell my kids is like, your job is to take the thing. God manifests himself in your imagination. Okay, I don't know if people are spiritual, but I
believe that.
God, it's just a representation. Your imagination is just universe, source, God expressing him or herself through your mind. Whatever that is that you want to be, the NFL player, the Olympic swimmer, the corporate exec, the entrepreneur, your job is to take that and make that extraordinary ordinary. That's the work.
Yeah.
Your job is not to prove to people that you can do those things. It's just to focus on those things.
That's the distinction.
Yeah.
That's the distinction.
Now, I'm saying all this in reflection. You know what I mean?
Of
Like,
course.
it's not like it's not like I would have spoke like that in my 20s or 30s, but even in my 40s. But as I'm going into 50 in August, I look back on it now and I'm like, no, all I was doing was being systematically patient about the visions and the thoughts that I had about life in my mind. And I refused to not get them. I would do things for years, decades even, to get them.
Yep.
Like the special agent thing, it took me 14 years.
But you wanted it.
But I never stopped.
Never stopped.
Ever.
It seems non-negotiable to you. It sounds like you going after what you want is non-negotiable, even with kids, even with those kids' mothers, even with your parents. At some point, you may not realize when you made that decision, but you did. It sounds like France might have been that deciding point for you, is that I'm going to live my life regardless of what anybody else is, how anybody else is attached to it. And I will say that is the hardest thing to do.
Until you realize something, which I've realized. You and I are the only people who will be with ourselves our entire life. I know you have a wonderful relationship with your husband, but in some capacity, you've never been with him your entire life, and you won't. Our parents will not be with us our entire life. Our kids will not be with us our entire life. Our best friends will not be with us our entire life. Your boss, sure as shit, won't be with you your entire life. If you're the person who's going to be with you your entire life, then have a relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
What is it that you really want?
What's non-negotiable?
My boys I have a 25-year-old and an almost 12-year-old, which is who was on the phone just now. They're together right now. My biggest flew up from Atlanta. I'm helping him design his life. He flew up to look out for me and take care of his little brother. But I tell my boys all the time, I didn't have you to not live my life. I will sacrifice certain things for you, but when I need to go to, let's say, Cyprus, or if Dad wants to come to kick it with Lisa in Vegas, I'm going. And they know it. And I want them to know it because I want them to have the same attitude about life too. It's not you stop everything for your friends because you're more interested in them, and you can, but you are the only one who's going to be with you your whole life. You're the only one who's going to look at yourself in the mirror. And let me say this last point. When I used to be a police officer, I would patrol, and believe it or not, there's disorderly calls in retirement homes.
Yeah, I believe it.
They get to fighting all the time. And I would go in there, and eventually when I retired, I went back and I volunteered. And I would just kick it with people like moms of 7 children, CEOs, entrepreneurs. They're all like 70s, 80s, and 90s. Not one was talking about their money.
Not one.
No.
Not one.
They weren't talking about what they did. They
Nope.
weren't talking about their money. They were all talking about the things they didn't do. All of them.
Yep.
Man, I should have got on the plane to go see Lisa back in
should have done it.
2025. I should have bought that condo back in 08.
Mhm.
And even if it's a mistake, I should have did it.
Mhm.
They're all talking about the things they didn't do.
Yep.
No, I can't live that way. Nor should any of us. But that's
I agree.
kind of what's driven me over the years.
No regrets.
Not one. I
No.
have zero.
No regrets. Let's fold money into it because money and time are the two reasons people don't follow their dreams. Why they don't try
Yeah.
life on, why they don't go to Lebanon, why they don't try out for the NFL. Kids, why they don't do the things that they want to do. I can look my kid in the eye and tell him that I know I did everything I wanted to do, including raise him. And money gets in the way of that.
Yeah, we need money. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we need money. So you realize at a young age, and I think your dad had I think I remember the story. He had something to do with this about deciding to go into real estate to build your portfolio. But also when you were failing, you went to him and he was like, well, this is life. This is going to happen. He helped give you perspective on some of these things, right?
Yeah, he gave me a lot of perspective.
But money, if you don't have the money, how do you do these things? And so for you, you had the jobs, you had the W-2s, you made the investments, you lost some of those, you rebounded.
Yeah.
How have you navigated your financial life, which is where you and I came together less than a year ago, to help someone who's listening to this and is like, yeah, hell yeah, like live life, right? Live life, do what I want to do, make a list, go for it. But money.
Yeah, when I was 21, I didn't have money, but I was traveling.
How did you do it?
You save. It took me 5 years to save my first down payment for a rental property, but I did it.
Not overnight.
It took me 5 years.
And not other people's money.
It was not other people's money. It was my own money. And my starting salary at Accenture when I started in 1997 was $37,500. That was 1997. I bought my first investment property in 2002. So I
From
saved.
a $37,000 salary.
I don't like the thing when people say I don't have money. Listen, but I'm gonna say this, but I'm not including socioeconomic issues. Okay, so
I hear you.
I don't want to hear people talking about you have money. No, I didn't have shit growing up. Nothing. I had zero. I had a good family, but I had zero.
Yeah, no one gave you anything.
No, I got a ROTC scholarship to go to college, study mechanical engineering. That was my leg up. I earned it, but that was my leg up. So the thing you were talking about, my father and my mother, between freshman and sophomore year in college, so this is summer 94, I called them, was like, Mom, I don't have any money. And she's like, welcome to the club. Neither do we. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So this is why I like reflecting on life. Because when she told me that, something switched in me. And I was like, I think I have to hustle for money.
Yeah.
This will tell you a lot. I was doing mechanical engineering, ROTC, and playing varsity football at University of Virginia. I had no time. But I found a $10 an hour job, which for that time, even today,
Pretty good
it's
money.
a lot of money. Preparing cars to be crash tested at a vehicle research center. And I didn't even have my own car. So I would ride a bike there. And it would take me like, I don't know, an hour to get there. But you find a way to make money.
You did. You did. That's the distinction. And that's why you're on the podcast. And that's why I love you and we're learning from you is that you did. But not everybody will or does. Is it a lack of creativity?
No, our
Is it a
society
lack of
is instant.
resourcefulness?
Our society is instant. Our society is so used to Uber and Pop-Tarts and microwaves and get rich quick schemes. And this is what I did on the real estate side. Okay. So yes, I would always I just found ways to make money. Even when I got hired by Accenture, it was called Anderson back in the day. I took that $37,500 job, not because of the $37,500. I took it because I realized as a consultant, I would travel and there was tax-free per diem. And the only way I understood that per diem was tax-free because of a book in the library. So I was like, oh, so I'm going to get an extra $30 a day?
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, if I get an extra $30 a day, tax free, I can use that to pay down my student loans. I was always thinking, what can I do? What can I? So, but what people are doing nowadays is they're going on social media, they're seeing a 60-second, maybe a 15-second clip, and they think they know something. You don't know shit. You have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an idea. So even my post, I tell people, stop using my post like it's the grail. No, it's just an idea to get you to go research something deeper. Now, when I started researching real estate and passive income and lifestyle design and how I can travel hack and get across the world, I put 23-year-old me, put blinders on.
That's what
when Bitcoin came, didn't care. When NFTs came, didn't care. When gold went up, didn't care. All I cared about was what that 70-year-old real estate agent told me. Buy these things, pay them off. If you can pay them off, you'll have time. And when you have time, then your actions start to compound on each other. People are chasing money when what we actually need is time.
Agreed.
So how did you do it? Cashing in cans when I needed to. But you had all these jobs. Yes, I wanted the experience, but I also knew I was going to get 6 paychecks a month, which I didn't use to go buy another car. I made mistakes, don't get me wrong.
We all do.
But I used it to buy things that would appreciate in value or cash flow and not for the money. It's just because I wanted my time. I wanted my time. I wanted control.
That's the motivator.
Yeah.
That's the motivator. I want it out of my life.
Yeah.
I want it where I was in my 30s. I want it out of that life.
Yeah.
I was slowly dying in that life.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had to make a change, course correct, get creative, and say, you know what? Nobody here has, your opinions do not matter of me. I'm going this way.
It's hard to say for people to say that, though.
It is hard, but that's why this conversation matters so much.
Yeah.
Is that what was on the other side of that was my freedom.
Yeah.
Has it been glitz and glamour? No, it's been a lot of work. I started later than you. I started my late 30s. So not even 10 years ago is when I started my journey. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm on the right path, but to your point, you have to stay focused
on it.
You have to stay focused. And so for my listeners, I just want to keep bringing that back. What are the things that Maurice did that were not like the normal route? But what are the things that you did that make you you and also helped you create the success? And what I'm hearing you say is that you were non-negotiable about buying your time back. And you made decisions financially that were going to buy you your time back, which is why real estate made sense for you.
It did. It did make sense. And there is a phrase that I use now that 23-year-old me did employ, something called systematic. I created this called systematic patience. Here it is. I had an idea to be a police officer, to be a federal agent, to try out for the NFL, whatever it was, own clubs, own real estate. There was an idea. And then I would find a system. And then I would execute in that system a month, a year, 10 years. For the Mediterranean, for 15 years. I was systematically patient, but I would just get up every day and execute. Didn't care how long it took me, ever.
Yeah.
I still don't care how long it takes because it will come eventually. It has to.
It has to.
It must. But people have zero patience and they don't find systems to execute. You can either find a system to execute in or create one.
Yep.
But people don't do it.
Yeah.
They just want shit to show up.
Yeah, and then they bail.
And then
That's another thing.
Wow, the shiny object syndrome. Some other shit pops up that seems more appealing, and right.
My favorite story of Gary Vee is his story about Wine University. Do you know who Gary Vee is?
Yeah, of course I know Gary, yeah.
So Gary Vee did Wine University for like 10 years on YouTube.
Oh, yes, on YouTube, yeah.
It's like nobody watched it, but I kept showing up and he just did it over and over and over again. And he knew that if he stuck with it, he would figure it out eventually.
Yes.
And that's always in the back of my mind. Because I haven't made it yet, whatever that means. Yeah. But I keep showing up because these are the conversations that matter the most to me. And if they matter the most to me, then I think that they're going to matter to other people. But I'm just going to keep doing things that I love, living a life that I love.
Yeah.
And when you have the courage, so speaking to my listener, whoever you're driving to work right now, wherever you're listening to this is, when you have the courage to do what is important to you, and then you find the systems and you find the way, you won't be like those old people in the retirement home with regrets.
No, you won't. You shouldn't. You have to just keep executing, but execute without concern of the outcome.
Without concern. You have to unattach.
Detach from the outcome. So when I was a federal agent, I ran a field office in Izmir, Turkey, which is on the west coast of Turkey, on the Aegean Sea. This is 2015. We would have all these operations and stuff. We would go down to Marmaris and Bodrum, which is in the south of the country on the Mediterranean Sea. And that was, 2015. So in 2015, I'm sitting there on the Mediterranean Sea as a special agent, and I'm like, oh, shit, I made it. It dawned on me. Because in 2001, I watched Jason Bourne, the movie. And Jason Bourne, in the first Jason Bourne movie, he was he wasn't a special agent, but he was like a spy or whatever on the Mediterranean. And I was like, I want to do that one day. I want to be that guy.
In 2001.
In 2001. So the system that I found, so I was in the military. There was a program across the military, but in the Air Force called IMA, Individual Mobilization Augmentee, which meant I could be a reservist. But if you were what's called OSI, which is the FBI of the Air Force, if you were an IMA in OSI, I could pop in and out of civilian life. And then I found out they had field offices all over the world. So I was like, one day I'm going to run a field office in one of these places. And it happened in 2015, 16.
Did you consciously know that that's what you were creating?
No.
Or you just made the decision?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Detached from the outcome.
Yep.
I didn't know where it was going to happen, when it was going to happen, how it was going to happen. I just kind of woke up one day and I'm like, oh shit, I'm a special agent on the Mediterranean Sea. It happened, but it took 14, 15 years that's my propensity, is to just execute until something happens. But I didn't know that was going to be the thing. I didn't say, look, I got to be like Jason Bourne, so I have to pop up in Spain on the Med. No, I was just like, one day I'm going to be a special agent overseas. It'll happen. We'll see where. It just happened in Turkey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I had a similar situation. I was at a retreat. For me, it's when I remove myself from my everyday life and get quiet that I have those connections of like, okay, here's what's next, or here's what I have to do. And I was at a retreat. We were doing a visualization of our future life, which was not a life that I was in. It was like, what is the life that I want to create for myself?
Yeah.
And I had this visualization, and there's this small, tiny house and a lot of land around it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my house.
Yeah.
It wasn't the house that I was living in.
Yeah.
That was my house. Unattached from it. Never pursued it. Met my new husband. Drove to his house. And I said, oh my God.
That's the house.
That's the house.
You listen to your inner voice, which to me is connected to the universe, but you listen to your inner voice. The problem is, for most people, Lisa, they don't know how to get quiet. And if people can get quiet, then you can hear your instincts talking to you. I think now, so all the stuff I'm telling you, and this is real money, right? So we'll get in even more into the money stuff, but my time freedom, my financial freedom, my location freedom, the fact that I wanted to try out for the NFL and federal agent stuff, and my voice has been screaming at me for decades on things to do because I had blinders on, and because I guess organically I kind of dulled other people's voices over time, even so much that I diet social media outside of what I post on LinkedIn because I don't want anyone.
Yeah, in there.
Whether social media, traditional media, I'll look for big headlines and then I shut it off.
It gives me anxiety now.
It's too much.
Yeah.
You can't, but that's the point. So my point to people who are listening is like, you already know the answer. It's just that you can't hear it. Our subconscious takes in like 11 million bits of information, bits per second. And our conscious is like 40 or something like that. But there's so much noise, people can't. And this, I have 12 business partners, okay? 12 core business partners across media, real estate, and real estate, effectively.
Okay.
I tell them all the time, it's like, there's so much information out there. If we don't quiet it, we will go off this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. So we just shut out all the noise and we just execute what we know is right for us. But people can't hear their own voice because there's so much shit out there now.
I know. So let us be your voice. Let us be a voice in your head, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Listening to this show, here's my invitation for anyone. You're going to get to work or you're going to listen to this tonight, finish this conversation with me and Maurice. And the very next thing that I'm going to invite you to do is to shut off the noise.
Yeah.
And get quiet. I just had a conversation with a client yesterday about this, and we had a really good breakthrough. And then she was like, well, what do I do next? And I said, first of all, you do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, get to the water. Don't listen to music because water's her happy place.
Yep.
Get to the water. Walk. Don't put lyrics in your head. If you're going to listen to music, let it be instrumental. And just be quiet. And that's where the magic happens.
It is. So I'm going to give you credit. Okay, so now I get to crush on you, right?
Okay. I'll take it.
I've been really good with money over the years, relatively good with money over the years. But when you and I had that conversation, so let me set the framework for people. So I invited you on my podcast because of our mutual friend, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. I happened to be in coastal Lebanon when, you came on my podcast and I was like, I really like her. There's something to what she's saying about the relationship with money that I'm not totally understanding it, but I think there's something here. There's an emotional relationship with money, and maybe I don't understand mine. I'm good at the hard numbers of it and stuff. And so I called you.
Everything that you're describing, that you've described on this entire podcast episode, has been your emotional relationship with money.
But I know it now. Even to the point where I'm deleveraging, but I know it now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that conversation. So I asked you to coach me for a while. You and I had that very poignant conversation where I was sitting in coastal Lebanon looking at the water on my happy Mediterranean Sea.
This is the moment I was thinking of too.
Yeah. And we talked, and what you taught me in that moment was, Maurice, you actually made it where you said you want to make it, but I don't even think you realize that you're there. And let me decode that. So essentially, if I said I don't have a plan B, I'm going to be financially free by putting all this real estate up, paying it off, 15, 20, 25 grand is going to come in a month. I'm okay. But I was so used to hustling and building businesses and stuff, I didn't know how to shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've known how to solve problems, is to create some additional asset to go after something or whatever. And when you and I talked, I started to realize I had all the assets I needed to create the family life and personal dynamic that I wanted for my kids, for my significant other, for my lifestyle of living between the East Coast and the Mediterranean. And it really caught me off guard because I was like, I was crying that whole time we were talking.
Mm-hmm.
I've rewatched that probably 30 times, by the way.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've shared it with certain family members who are very important to me. I think I was mourning myself.
Yeah.
Because I had done so much. I can feel the emotions coming. I had done so much over the years. I was so tired.
Yep.
I'm still tired when I think about him, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I had done so much, and to realize that I have enough resources to live the exact life that I have been pushing for 30 years, when you feel it, then you're like, you breathe. So when people are asking me now, yo, let's do this real estate deal. I have no problem crying at all, because man, that journey was no joke. I'm still going, but it was no joke. Let's do this real estate deal. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Because we have this one opportunity on this blue marble to live the way that we want. If you've already created the resources that you need to live your perfect life, perfect for you, not perfect for anybody else.
Perfect for you.
If you already have the resources to create, to live the life that you've wanted, you've created those resources, yet you're now you've created your own status quo where you are now creating your own 9-to-5 and just building shit for the sake of building shit.
Right. And you're just working.
For what? That's why when you and I talked and I hung up the phone, I was like, I have enough resources to not only take care of myself, my 2 kids, who will never get what I did. They have to figure it out. But my 2 kids, future family that I want to build, I can take care of my grandparents and any grandparents of a significant other. It's generational.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize where I was because 20 to 30 years of formal education and social media is telling you, you always got to hustle. No, I hustled for 35 years.
You
I think
did.
it's enough at this point.
You did.
So people get confused. What are you doing? No, I'm paying off every loan that I own. You're not buying any more real estate? No.
I'm done.
It's done.
I'm here.
I've created. I want to live more. I want to be. I want more experiences. I want more feelings. I want more emotions. I want to kick it with my boys. I want to drink great wine. I want to, my favorite 3-hour Mediterranean lunches on a Sunday with people that I care about.
Yeah.
And it never really needed as much resources that I have. I thought it might, but I don't know. We're overthinking it.
What a blessing.
The blessing is in the realization of it.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you got quiet.
Mm-hmm.
That you had a conversation with someone that you trusted.
Yep.
Not someone to tell you what to do, but to ask you questions and get curious and to pause and say, is it enough? So many people live in not enough.
Not enough. I mean, what are you going to do with $17 billion? Like one of my mentors is worth well over 9 figures.
Mm-hmm.
He's miserable. He focused on all the money stuff, but sacrificed all the relationships.
Yeah.
Which is why I came on a plane to come see you.
Yeah.
People are investing in the wrong. I mean, yes, we need money. I want money. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you need it. Once you have it, though,
we got to invest in other stuff, which is people, and live your life.
Yeah, this is a perfect way to end today. The book that I recommend so highly to people is Bronnie Ware's The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And that's how I open up a lot of conversations about money, because no one is on their deathbed saying they wish they would have had more money.
Oh.
But the truth is, what's so poignant about your journey is that you did create wealth for yourself, independent wealth. You're not an employee anywhere.
No.
You're not even really an employee of your company.
Mm-mm.
You have cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
This is taking a concept to real life. You spent 30 years creating it. Mm-hmm. And you had the courage, which is why I love your podcast, to go, okay, now I'm going to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share my story so I can live my life. And do not, to you, my friend who is listening right now, do not let money be the reason that you do not live your life. Use it as a tool, as a resource. Build and decide for yourself when enough is enough.
Yeah.
So that you can live your life how you want to live it. And you, my friend, are doing that.
I'm trying. And if I tell your listeners something, it's not the financial journey that I'm most proud of. It's the fact that I lived along the way. And even if I would have crumbled on the financial journey, I have all these experiences in my life book, police officer, federal agent stuff, and the traveling and all these experiences and all these relationships that I could land in 30 countries today and somebody's going to pick me up.
That's the blessing.
That is wealth. It's not, the money stuff, it's supposed to support life. I hope people get that from this is like, yeah, I'm okay for my own life. Like I can take care of myself and my family and stuff like that. But all the stuff that I didn't give up doing in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, and even now, 49, I told you I'm about to fly on the other side of the world. I'm only going to be there for 4 days.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to come right back. And no, it didn't cost a lot. I travel hacked it.
Yeah.
So it's relative money. Please live your life, but please also go after financial freedom or go after some relative cash flow or streams of income because it unlocks life for you. And if you can just unlock your basic needs number, the number you need on a monthly basis to feed yourself, house yourself, clothe yourself. For me, it was $6,400 back in the day. You create that number, the world open in ways that people will never understand.
Yeah.
You're beholden to no one. And once you have that power, status quo loses you forever.
Yeah.
They lost me forever. I ain't ever going back.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I love it. I love it. Maurice is taking us to church today.
Yeah,
Yay.
I try. It was worth it.
All right. So this is something I do at the end of the show.
Okay.
It's called a fast round. It's just a few questions. It's actually one of my favorite card games to play with people. I love asking questions and you have to choose. So first question is DIY or hire an expert?
Hire an expert.
Okay. Luxury or adventure travel?
Adventure.
I would say both.
Mm.
I want
Yeah,
both.
I like my comfort, but I like to do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a resort guy.
Yeah.
Like I'll stay in an apartment, but I'm taking business to get there.
Choose your vehicle.
Yeah,
choose
no
your
doubt.
vehicle.
No.
Chase the paycheck or the passion?
Passion.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, you're wasting time if you're always chasing pay. We need it, but chase life.
Chase life.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, final question. If you could go back, what risk would you take all over again?
All of them.
Not just one?
Listen, I can't remember where the quote came from, and I'm not going to state the quote exactly, but it was a quote talking about when my life, this is happening to me. When my life finishes,
Mm-hmm.
I want to come screaming and screeching in over the finish line, bloodied, bruised, rashes on my knees, tired, and finally hit the finish line and be like,
Let's roll.
I made it. That's the kind of life I want to lead. And to do that, you got to take all the risks, go all the places, meet all the people to the extent that it makes sense for your life. Now, all the people could be 2, but all the people could be 30 or 100. I don't know what it is for people. But all the risks that I took over time, if I look back on them, they were never risks. They were necessary. So what would I do again or not do again? I would do all of it, if not more, again, and quietly. I made the best decision to never talk about my, outside of the slight depressional stuff, because I did need to be around more people. But the fact that I never told people that I was doing all this stuff made it all possible. Because had I told people, then people would have dissuaded me from doing. Black people don't do that. Guys don't do that. Haitian people don't do that. No. Best decision I ever made was to just mind my own damn business and understand that people's opinion of what you do is none of your business anyway.
Nope, because it's just a projection at the end of the day anyway. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn is really good. Just Maurice Philogene. And then my platform is trylifeon.com. I talk about all the stuff that you and I talked about today.
Yep.
All based on time, financial, location freedom, purpose, and building amazing relationships with people. So trylifeon.com. And they can just reach out those. And then, of course, my Try Life On podcast, finding amazing people like you who are doing life their own way.
Yeah.
And now this is my attempt to now tell people everything. Not while I was doing it, but now. And then you see the commonalities between all these people. You pull out the threads the way that you're doing, try to give it back to people as much as possible. So trylifeon.com.
Try life on. Try life on, people.
Yeah.
Do it your way. Figure out what that is.
Yeah.
And have some amazing experiences along the way.
We should.
That's what I'm taking from you today. Thank you so much for being on Real Money.
My pleasure.
All right. You heard it from Maurice. Go live your life. Permission granted. And we'll see you on the next episode of Real Money right here. I'm Lisa Chastain, your host. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to Real Money. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and let us know what you love about the show. Your feedback is invaluable as we continue to empower women to take control of their financial lives. Until next time, keep thriving and remember, you deserve real money.